Attorney General Jeff Sessions will soon announce that the Justice Department will carry out several criminal leak investigations. This, of course, comes in the wake of intense pressure on Sessions from President Trump. Joining us right now to discuss Sessions' fate and much more, we have Senator James Lankford, who serves on both the Intelligence and Homeland Security committees. Senator, welcome. Good to have you here.
Glad to be back again. Good to see you.
What do you think we're going to learn when Sessions comes forward with the results of his investigation into Intel leaks?
Well, I'd say Intel leak investigations are extremely complicated because there'll be a group of about 50 to 75 people that will have access to that information. You've got to track down who had access to the information and then went and shared it with media or shared it with another individual who went and shared it with media. So you've got a large universe of folks trying to track it down. But it is extremely important that we identify individuals that are taking classified information and putting that in the public eye, because that absolutely hurts our national security. It's hard to deal with sources. It's hard to be able to build trust relationships with foreign intelligence community partners if they can't trust the information that they share with us will actually be kept secret.
And Senator, how often do you think this is happening right now?
Well, it's happening way too often. I would say there's a lot of documents that in our Intelligence Committee that we've had access to that has been a very small circle that has somehow ended up in the media. We're trying to track that down in our own Intelligence Committee, as well as what happens with what the Attorney General is trying to track down with leaks out of the White House or leaks out of the IC community itself. These are proud professionals that they know how to be able to keep it secret and know better than to be able to leak it out.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, proud professionals, except, of course, if you're one of those professionals that just doesn't like this president and feels that perhaps it's your duty in some way, shape, or form to try and hurt him by leaking this information. You know, I guess we should also keep in mind, as much as this is happening, President Obama's administration went after leakers very aggressively in the early days.
They absolutely did. They had a real problem with leaks as well getting out, and so they aggressively worked to be able to identify those individuals and try to prosecute. That is exactly what should be happening right now, both with the FBI and with the Department of Justice, to be able to identify individuals that are leaking out America's secrets. This is not about political gain. This is about what is classified needs to stay classified.
Do you think the AG will keep his job? I mean, you're seeing a tremendous amount of pressure on him right now from Donald Trump, the president. Is that actually going to result in perhaps him saying, okay, I've had enough?
Only the president can make that determination. I would tell you the people that work for me and around me, if I have a problem with them, I call them into the office, we sit down, we work it out. If we can't work it out, then I have to be able to release them, but I don't do it in the public eye.
So you don't approve of what the president is doing right now?
I don't. Again, the president can be the president. He is the president of the United States. He can choose to run his office. I just say I just don't run my staff that way. If I have a problem with someone, I call them in, we resolve it one-on-one. If that is a continuing problem, I let him go.
But does the president, in your view, at least have a point in that perhaps if he knew he was going to have to recuse himself, Jeff Sessions that is, maybe he should have never accepted the position in the first place?
Well, I would say only that Jeff Sessions only learned about the recusal after he took the position. When he sat down with the attorneys of the Department of Justice, they walked through him. Here's all the legal ramifications. You have to make a decision on this. The law was very, very clear that Jeff had to recuse himself. I don't think Jeff knew that before he stepped into that role. Once he had the Department of Justice legal counsel around him, they could explain the law. Someone that is involved in a campaign that is somehow connected in some way to the nature of the investigation can't be actually helping lead that as well. Now, that makes sense to all of us as well. That made sense to Jeff Sessions say, I've got to be able to pull back, and he has done that.
All right, so if he's pulling back, who's running the place then? I mean, at least in terms of Robert Mueller and overseeing him, you're left with a bit of a void there.
That is correct. That became the dilemma. Rod Rosenstein was actually drawn into that as the assistant. He was in that role. He got pulled in to some of the heat on that. Andrew McCabe obviously was connected from the past on that, couldn't do it, and so the decision had to be made to be able to bring in a special prosecutor. I would say the best thing the president could do is let's get all the facts out and let's get on with this, and so we get a chance to get done it.
You did mention, I mean, the conflicts are just rampant. You mentioned Andrew McCabe, whose own wife had received a contribution from McAuliffe on Hillary Clinton's team of $675,000. So, you know, you do have to start to scratch your head at some point. And I realize there's a lot of interconnection there in Washington. But my goodness, it does seem as though there are a lot of people there with allegiances, Senator, to the other side.
Right, and that is exactly correct, and that is the president's primary concern. And I can hear his concern very clearly. He keeps saying over and over again, did not do it, did not have Russian collusion. Why isn't this story already put to bed? Let's deal with it and let's move on. We've got lots of important things to do for the country. Couldn't agree more on this. The best way to do it, let's get all the facts out, let's get it resolved as fast as possible, and then let's move on.
Very
we've got
quickly,
a lot of important stuff to do.
talking about important stuff to do, where's healthcare going?
Healthcare is moving. I would tell you that the Russia investigation is one sliver of the work that I do because I'm on the on that investigative team with the Intel Committee. The big kahuna right now that we're working through is the issue of healthcare.
Are you going to be able to replace?
We've got to be able to get this resolved. Yes, we will get a chance to repeal and replace. Best way to do that at this point is to be able to get a bill that's kind of a shell bill out of the Senate. Let's get to a conference with the House and the Senate, an old school conference to resolve this together. Let CBO have the time to score it, which they've been our greatest frustration. CBO for the smallest changes that we're asking to be to make. They're saying it's going to take 4 weeks to be able to score that and to be able to get us an answer back. So let's give them time to be able to get this all scored out and get it done, and then let's vote on it in September and have this done.